Okay, so what we're going to do in this video is create a really nice looking iPad, and what we want to do first of all is just grab this and place it in content so that everything's in nice order. So what we can do is click on the head and click on this I button, and we'll just hide him for now so that we can see the screen better. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and click on this shape tool and go to rounded rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw out a rough looking like a rough iPad shape. Make it quite big so that it kind of fits and it's like the main item on the screen, so something like that. And what I'm going to do is bring up in the window, click on window and bring up the align panel. So over here you can change the panel, so if you don't have the character panel or the effects panel up there, you can go and click on those and they'll add them onto this After Effects face. So what you want to do is click on align, and this align tool can basically places your image in the middle of composition. So you can click on the middle and then the middle over there. Okay, cool. So now I've got a shape kind of like an iPad. What we're going to do is give it a color. So maybe you can select any color that you want for your iPad. I think I'll go with even a green color for now. So I'll change something up a little bit to this template. So or a bluey kind of green. That's quite nice. We'll go with that. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different. Maybe I'll change it back to black if I don't like that. So I'm going to hit enter on this and call this one iPad BG, so iPad background. Then what we're going to do is come down to content. So if I drop this down again, contents, rectangle 1, rectangle path 1, and you'll see it says roundness. So click on this and bring it up to maybe something that looks like a nice kind of rounded shape for an iPad. That is quite good. 77. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, maybe about 80. Let's try 80. Okay, so go ahead and adjust it, make sure that it looks nice to you. Maybe make it a little bit bigger as well, but a little bit wider, and make sure that it's right in the middle as well. Okay, cool. So that's the background of our iPad. What we want to do now is create a screen for iPad. So go ahead and click on this tool again, hold down your left click, and go to rectangle tool, and make this white. And then we can go ahead and click and draw out a nice screen for our iPad. Just go in here, get the selection tool, and we can position it nicely in the middle. Even use these align tools actually be better. So it's in the middle. Make it a little bit wider. I guess it's quite long, something like that. Okay, so we've got quite a nice screen size. Maybe even make these both a little bit smaller. Actually, they're quite big. So just click on these layers, hit S on our keyboard, S for scale, and then maybe make it something like 95. Let's have a look at that. Okay, and I'll make this one a little bit longer, a little bit wider. Okay, cool. So that's a rough kind of gauge of a iPad. A great thing to do is just go and get an iPad image off Google and kind of draw it out and compare it to that. So what I want to do now is bring up these rulers. I'm going to create a button over here. First I'm going to rename this one and type in screen. Then what I want to do is create a button. So what I want to do is make sure that it's in the middle of the iPad. So to do that, what we can do is hit Control R on a keyboard and we can bring up these rulers. Or what you can do is just go over here and click on this button, click on rulers, and also click on Title Action Safe. Okay, so it's bringing up a grid so we can make things easier. So I'm going to click on one of these lines, and it creates a line for me, and I'm going to place that in the middle, like so. And then I want to grab one from the side, so click and place it somewhere around in the middle, I guess, of this iPad, something like that. So it kind of gives me a good kind of guide to where the middle of this iPad is. Okay, so now that we've got the middle of our iPad, we can go ahead and create a button. So I'm going to click on the shape layer again, get the ellipse tool, and draw out a circle. So click and hold down shift so that it makes it into a nice circle shape. And it's created about that size, I guess. And then we can just place it in the middle like so. And there's our button. Now what we want to do is add an effect to this. So I'm going to get one called ramp. So in your effects and presets panel over here, type in ramp. Or what you can do is click on the shape layer, right click, effect, generate, and then ramp. Okay, so we've added an effect to our button. What I'm going to do is create this button the same kind of color as the iPad. So I'm getting this eyedrop tool and clicking on this color, and then I'll get this one as well and place it on there. Then what I want to do is click where the start of the ramp is going to be, and I'm going to click on that target icon and just drop it at the top there, and for the end of the ramp click on the target again and place it at the bottom. Okay, so now what we need to do is change the colors up so you can actually see the ramp. So the start color, I'm going to make it a little bit lighter, something like that, and the end color I'm going to make it a bit darker so that we can add in the effect, something maybe a bit lighter like that. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so we need it maybe a little bit darker and a little bit lighter, so bring up that again, bring in a little bit more, and this one maybe even make it a little bit bluier, something like that. Okay, let's have a look at this. So I'm going to click on these lines and just drag it off, and they will disappear from our screen. So now if we come out a little bit, you'll better see that it gives it a nice kind of effect with the colors, and I'll take this action off as well, and you'll better see that we've got a nice kind of button kind of shape, and it looks like it's kind of going in a bit. If you play around the colors a little bit more, you can get it even looking better. Maybe bring it a little bit lighter and a little bit darker, or and you can also click on these and bring these out a little bit more, so bring it in a bit more as well, make it a little bit darker, and hit OK. Okay, cool. So now you can see that it looks quite realistic, looks like it's kind of 3D. What we can do now is add in the square in the middle of the button, whoops, and I'll rename this first of all, so enter button, whoops, bring it up. Okay, and then what we want to do is grab this square tool, so rectangle tool, and draw up, click and hold down shift and draw up a rectangular kind of shape. And it would be good if we had those lines again. We should have left those lines in. Let's go and grab some lines and place them like so, kind of roughly in the middle. That looks quite good. Okay, so what we're going to do is take off the fill, so click on that fill text and click on that button and take that away, and then bring it up to about maybe 3 or 4. Let's try 4 for now, and I'm going to make the color kind of a light kind of white, something a bit lighter, something like that. Okay, and then what we need to do is, I'm going to call this one square, and we want to give it some rounded edges, so drop that down, content, drop that down, rectangle 1, drop it down, rectangle path 1, and come in here and just give it a little bit of a angle, maybe something like 4 as well. Let's have a look at that. Looks quite good. I'll make it a little bit smaller as well, so I'm going to bring down the transform properties. So you can just hit S on your keyboard to bring that down, and maybe make it 98. Let's have a look at that. Just a little bit smaller. And let's have a look at our button. It's still a bit big, I think. Let's just go and make it even a little bit smaller. I'm just going to click on the corners and just drag it in a little bit. Oh, actually, I'll just bring in the scales and bring it down to about 94. That looks quite good, and I'll drag this across. I think that's quite nice for our button, and I'm just going to drag these buttons over. Okay, cool. So now we've got a nice iPad kind of button there. What we want to do now is go ahead and create our camera on the top. So let's come in here. Let's go and get those lines again as well. So bring that down to about the middle. Okay, that's good. And let's go in here. So now what we want to do is pretty simple for the camera. Just go grab the ellipse tool again and click, hold down shift and drag it out just to a small kind of circle shape. Then what you want to do is click on fill and make it solid color, and we're going to make this one maybe a dark kind of a blue, something like that, and hit OK, and we'll leave the stroke at 4 as well and on white. Then what we can do is add a effect called noise, so click and write noise, and we can use noise alpha, this one here, and just drop that on the shape layer. And then over here we can bring the amount up a little bit more so that we can see the effect. So you can see it's kind of gives a fuzzy kind of look to add some effect to our camera. Okay, cool. So as you can see, we've got a nice looking iPad. I think what I'll do is I'll leave that. Actually, it looks quite nice. I think I'm going to make the iPad back just a little bit less rounded on the corners. So let's go bring these contents up, rectangle 1, rectangle path 1, and maybe make it something like 75. Let's have a look at that. Okay, looks quite good. Cool. So that's how you create our iPad. What I'm going to do is just bring these up all up like so. And what we want to do is click on iPad BG, and I'm just going to rename this one camera, and click on iPad BG, and the top, hold down Shift and Control C, or right click pre-compose, and we're going to rename this one iPad and hit OK. Cool. So with these vignette and background, what I want to do is bring up toggle switches and mode so you can see these icons here. Click on these icons for vignette and BG, and then click on this button here called lock on these ones here, and then click on this one up here to hide these layers. So now that if I want to click on the background, for example, over here, I can't actually move it because it's locked in. So that kind of makes it look a lot better. So let's add the head back on there, and the iPad, we're going to drop it down below the head like so, and I'm going to click on the head and make him a little bit to the side, or maybe actually let's leave him like so. It's good. Bring this iPad up a bit across. Maybe make the head a little bit smaller even, so scale it down to 100%. Okay, and bring him across. Okay, something like that. Let's bring this a bit over. Kind of play around with it so it looks good to you. I'll bring the head even over a bit more. And what I'm going to do is actually scale up this head to make it even bigger, but kind of place him on the side a bit more. So something like that. Bring it up a little bit more. Okay, something like that. And bring this iPad over it even more. Like so. Bring this head a little bit more. Okay, so that's looking quite good. Just want to put my iPad down a little bit more, and that looks good. Okay, so jump on to the next video once you've been playing around with that and you got everything ready, and we're going to begin adding in some other effects onto our iPad.